Hi, Peggy.
Good morning. How are you?
Very good. I hope you had a good weekend.
Absolutely. Did you?
Yes. Too much work around the house.
Who needs an agenda? Oh, I do.
It's 9:03. I'll call this meeting to order. Did everyone have an opportunity to look at the minutes? The April 30th and May 10th? Can I get a motion to approve those minutes? All in favor?
Hi.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right. Our first item is the 2024 fee modification.
Okay, folks, as we've been discussing and had presented at a previous meeting, this is an alternative model on a tip fee, reduced from the proposed and what we've looked at through Cornerstone, giving us an opportunity for a secondary support model. The $114 per ton fee is currently what our larger haulers of Syracuse haulers, Burt Adams and a couple others are paying. That's our current non-contracted rate. I'm suggesting we move all of our waste to that rate, and then create, get rid of this dichotomy of contracted versus non-contracted, having a flat rate. And then we have hauler permits with that, which require the insurance levels that would ensure these guys, your true waste haulers, that fee structure, moving the small waste haulers to that higher fee structure, your small clean out guys, your ones that are participating in the system, trying to gain lower tip fees, but not meeting all those other requirements on the insurance side, that are actually eating in their business. So I've been in discussion with several of the waste haulers in the industry. They know tip fees have to move in our industry. Some of them, they're always going to be hesitant. But some of them are looking actually for better opportunities to, gain efficiencies in their collection, and offset that tip fee more than, worry about the fee itself. So efficiencies for them are going to be their marketplace mover. That's why, like Syracuse Haulers and Burt Adams, they've been competitive because they went automated versus the labor models of some of our other haulers.
Hey, Greg, quick,
Yes.
refresh my memory. Did the Cornerstone recommend a doubling of it, like 170 something? Is that what they?
They were 125 to 150, depending on where, what we were including in that model.
Okay.
Your landfill model versus your systemic model, and how we, attack the other portions of what the services we provide. And that's where, if you looked at the spreadsheets, you guys have a spreadsheet in there. It shows you the revenue potentials. If we do a mid-year increase, it's not huge. We have the potential of roughly $500,000 in revenue back into the system. And as you know, we were 1.1 million last year in the hole, and I'm anticipating 1.5 this year, plus using some reserves for the landfill gas project. So to stem some of that financial bleeding, we have to address fees. The other model we are working with Real Property, is the alternative fee model for a household or a user fee system, that is similar to Otsego County and Tompkins County, but those user fee, that's 2026, 27, before we realize, that opportunity. So to address these fees now, in our system, to support it right now. Any questions?
No, TJ?
On the recyclables, people could still bring their recyclables to transfer stations for free.
Yes, so this is the baseline right now, what we're looking at for 2024. I'm not proposing any major increases for 2025, with this being the baseline to start moving to 2025. Looking at stabilizing things again through our contracts. We started that movement for the municipalities on the biosolid side. Those rates are already coming up through contracts, and coming up this year. They're realizing expenses, now to $88 a ton. 2025's biggest thing, I would like us to wrestle with are the punch cards, and how we equate recycling costs through the punch card system at the transfer stations. So whether we move a punch card to $25 or $30 in 2025, the punch card will include that recycling cost in there. So if we've raised the cost of a punch card, that, again, equates the recycling.
But you're not planning on anything for this year then?
Not anything for this year, sir, because with the punch cards, they're already distributed, printed, and, sent out. Moving on this for a July 1st thing, there's going to be a little heartburn with the haulers. We are getting ready to send out our hauler permits. We will, the this last week of May, we send out the notification to renew their permit. So this information will be going out in their permit packet. We do have some nuances within our local law that we will have to address with fees. You as the supervisors and the board have the right to, within our local law, to make these amendments in there. But there are some tools and mechanisms we have in the local law to continue to gather data similar to our other communities and reporting data that we haven't used. So if these fees, we feel these fees are going high and we're losing recycling tonnage or not tracking it as well, they have actual reporting requirements within our local law that we've never really exercised well, and that, like Onondaga County does fairly well for their reports and gathering their tonnage data and where that material is going. They have to report that to us. So.
John, do you want to touch base on the in-county biosolids?
Yeah, I was,
Microphone, please.
thank you. Village Canastota, when we went to 88, said they were losing a lot of money. It was costing them, they didn't have that in their budget. It was difficult for them to put that in their budget. They increased their sewer charge to try to offset it. They went from $90 per household to $105 per household. One thing they were curious about is when we had our joint meeting and I mentioned it to them, that with some of the other stuff is they were asking, could we go back to 60? Because that was financially capable for them to, on the biosolids. So I told them I'd ask the question.
Biosolids in the industry are no longer being accepted, at a lower rate. They're, for us, between the polymers, the odor management, everybody's worried about emerging contaminants long run, and the additional handling. How do I take a hard to manage material that's actually more difficult to manage than normal MSW and discount it? We had a contract that Amy had started this, and we had started working on these rates prior, and that 88 was last year. We gave them that 60 and gave them to June to ramp up to 88, and that's where it's going. The industry across the board is raising rates on that material.
I did what I was said I would do.
I do feel the burden and the pressure for them, but it's at what point do we sacrifice ourselves for others? And what
How many
sacrifice
tons are we
gonna
talking
do?
about, Greg, for the,
Village of
for the villages?
Canastota biosolids last year was 817.73 tons. They had a contracted rate of $60 a ton up until this June or July 1st. Here, July 1st, they are going up to $88 a ton. That is the same for Casnovia.
So $88 is our break even point, you think?
$88, no, $88 is lost. Every ton of waste placed in a landfill by, Cornerstone should be 125 to 130 just for landfill activities and paying for our capital expense.
Man, we can't
And
put
growth.
ourselves further in debt than.
So I didn't want to, because we just did contracts in January with these municipalities to manage their solids, knowing that the burden we just went through with them to get them to transition to that. I didn't want to touch that again, right? I wanted to give them some time for them to be able to forecast and anticipate what it's going to do to their tax or fee burden. I don't honestly want to touch this until 26 and 27 to give us a chance to really balance our budget, to look at what we're going to do with potential user fee model to help offset this.
Any other comments or questions? Is everyone okay with this proposed model? Matt?
I am. I mean, we got to do something. So it's not the total answer, but you don't want to, you don't want to make them $150 right away. That's just my opinion. And then look at 25 and because there's a lot of other moving parts going on with solid waste. I agree with it. It's a good,
And I
good
think-
analysis.
I think that Seagull County thing that we're looking at with Cindy and Karen and Greg could really help fill the gap on some of this stuff. So you're not whacking, like last meeting, we talked about the fees at, what was it, Greg?
130.
130. So I think we can fill some of that gap in on the residential and commercial side, but you just can't implement until January of 26 at the earliest. So.
And I do understand the pressures, right? We want to look at growth for Madison County and we want to look at business growth and how do we grow businesses if we're penalizing them on the waste side? At the same time, it's a penalty. It incentivizes them to minimize waste. It incentivizes them to reuse recycling systems. But at the same time, I don't want to create that $150 fee that drives business out of here either. So how do I find that soft balance?
Jim?
On the biosolids, the county went down to $45 at one time because they were trying to put more water in the landfill, basically to produce more methane. That was kind of a trend, which, as you know, has changed a bit. But I think it was kind of a thing that we did for our towns that now they're in shock because they've got to raise it so well. But leachate for sludge swap with the city of Oneida was also based on that $45 a ton. So we should probably relook at that because they're the big producer here. So you're probably giving away a lot of money to the city of Oneida because they do produce a lot of biosolids.
Yeah. When is that contract up or when can we renegotiate that?
I don't have the contracts in with me.
Because I would
believe
assume Jim's right. They've got to be, the tonnage coming out of the city of Oneida has got to be well above Canastota.
Yeah, that tonnage is there, but also you also have to think of the cost of 10 million gallons of leachate.
Just has to be reanalyzed.
I will get that to you guys. I will send you an email. I have a spreadsheet tracking all of our contracts. And that one's on there. It's a longer term contract, but again, we have provisions in there, but most of them are usually on a mutual side. Again, and the relationship with Oneida right now and the wastewater treatment staff has been phenomenal. So we will definitely see what we can do.
Well, it certainly helps when they have a new system that's not put together with bubble gum and duct tape. So
Their tonnage is down quite a bit.
is that, that's a good thing.
All right, well, can I get a motion for amending fees for participating in Madison County Solid Waste Management Program as required by local law number 3 of 2004?
I'll make the motion.
Can I get a second? I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, Craig, landfill gas improvement project.
Yes, as we've been discussing in several of the previous committees and the recommendation last year, we have to work on dewatering the landfill. We are a wet landfill, and some of the waste placement activities over the years has created lenses, and the water's not going all the way down. So the landfill gas improvement project is designed by BNL. We're getting ready to put that out for bid. And what you have before you is the resolution that is moving to Matt's committee, Finance, Ways and Means, or Government Ops, I believe. forget what finance ways and means, for a budget modification to use our reserve funds up to $600,000 for engineering support, and the actual bid of this project.
Any questions?
I've got one question.
Yeah, go ahead, sir.
Greg, I know you gave us a very rough guess when you said 400 to 500,000. Is there anything else added into this besides that, or is it just the cost of inflation that has brought it up?
What was added into that was roughly $50,000 of engineering that we were funding out of our general engineering budget. And we also did other cornerstone projects. So to take 50 grand back into the system. So you have, that 550.
Thank you.
Just to reiterate, what exactly are the improvements going to give us?
Yes, so this will be to improve methane capture. So these improvements will to dewater the system. You'll be putting some new wells, vertical drilled wells in, some hand dug wells, which are called slip wells, along with the infrastructure and pumping system to handle the leachate that's going to be pumped out of this to allow gas collection. So right now you have static water levels inside your
Right,
vent
it's
pipe.
trapped inside.
It's trapped.
Right.
So it's pushing your methane higher into the landfill system where we're not able to capture it with our gas system. So we're going to get the water, the moisture leachate out of that.
Do we have an estimate of how much more gas we think we can get out?
They don't,
don't know yet.
curving on that. That's none of those have been accurate. It's more about dewatering and getting that cap and improvement on that and that capture.
Okay.
Anyone else? We just need a general consensus to, Go forward?
It's just FYI.
or is, it's just FYI?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, I take that back.
This was a project that in consensus, we all said to move forward with. So this has again been on the docket since last year.
All right, personnel and staffing discussion, laborers positions.
Everybody's favorite topic if you're in business and need bodies. We not only as a department, as a county, but as a department in solid waste have struggled to really find good staffing matrices. Even when we're full staff, we are never quote unquote full staff. And right now we have 2 long-term disabilities that are going to be out the rest of the summer. And with recruitment and retention, trying to find the opportunity to bring people in and grow them into being landfill operators and equipment operators. Right now, it's really difficult to go out in the marketplace and find somebody that's a heavy equipment operator. Your better shots at hiring people today are at times grooming them in a laborer's position, and giving them the opportunity to grow, and you vet them over that 18 to 24 month period as a laborer into somebody who has the skills to then operate and work in the landfill environment. So I'm looking and proposing to create a laborer's position to give us that flexibility. Right now, we rely on our HEOs for everything from labor to litter picking, right, which predominantly is overtime, to driving roll-off trucks, to being attendants at transfer stations. And we have no flexibility within our, staffing matrix outside of that.
And Joe Wazinski's been doing the same thing in the highway department. They have 3 laborers that they train and they take CDL courses and eventually get their CDL and graduate to MEO or HEO. So it's been really helpful for Joe. And Greg and I talked about it, and they need bodies, especially just, I know the HEOs don't love pick and litter. But if you have some laborers up there, that would help.
Yeah, we've done the same thing in our town, but they don't stay as laborers very long. They move up pretty quick. So, just because we need them in other positions.
What would the difference in wages be? What are we paying an HEO coming off the street versus what you would propose as a laborer?
I believe without having it in front of me, you're in the $22 for a laborer to, $25 off the street for an HEO. I can get you that to you, to the committee. This is just a proposal. I wanted to work this through. Have to look at the budgetary impacts for us too. So as we're looking at this, holistically, I don't want to add more staff without knowing I have the funding mechanisms to carry it. This is something I want to work over, it's not immediate and I'm not going on the street right now, work with HR, Ryan and his team,
Right.
and Mark and
Just to see if just to float it to see if it works.
Yeah, they'll go to GOC would create the positions.
Right. But I mean, if how about how many hours a week are we picking litter? Sweat analysis.
depending on the staff and the wind event, I mean, that's a majority of our overtime. So, you are on average, 3 guys, 4 hours a week, doing litter. So there's 12 hours a week.
Just doing that,
Just
right.
doing litter.
I'm sure you could find a lot of other things to do too, sure. I think it's a good idea.
Thank you. Really don't have.
I think that's it. Anything else for? I know, look at the time. Does anyone else have anything else for the committee? I know it's 9:26. Everyone's in shock.
No. It's been
Sorry to disappoint you. All right, well, if there's nothing else, our next meeting is going to be June 25th, 2024 at 9 a.m. right here in the chambers. And I have a motion to adjourn.
Sound like a tour guide or
Well, guys, now we're gonna go right to 10 o'clock. Who would like to leave? Matt. Can I get a second? Jim, all in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, everybody.
South